ccsradio.com. Good morning. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate that. It's a Wednesday, a quarter away from the top of the hour, and coming up this week, I said it's going to be a really big weekend. You know, we got an NFL draft. That's cool. That'll be in Pittsburgh Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and folks getting ready for that. But we also have a really, really big event coming to IUP this weekend, and if I could get my mouse to work, I could tell you all about it. Because joining us in the studio this morning, a couple of folks from IUP to tell us about a big, big event that is coming up this weekend. And Ian McIssac and BJ Bertges are with us. BJ, did I get the name right?
It's Soft G, Bertges.
Bertges. Okay, gotcha. Well, like I said, that's the story of my day today. But this is really cool. United States Collegiate Athletic Association, 2026 and 2027 men's and women's USCAA small college track and field national championships coming right here to IUP. Our conversation this morning presented by Marcus and Mack, voted best law firm, best personal injury lawyer 4 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. Folks, this is a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is our small college national championships are the pinnacle for any of the sport offerings that we have. So, you know, these student athletes who are coming here this weekend for their track and field national championship, this is something that they've been working toward all season long, and they're going to come from largely up and down the East Coast. But, I mean, we're going to have probably 10 or 11 different states represented here this weekend in Indiana County.
Yeah, this is really high caliber stuff, too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's the pinnacle of their season. This is everything that they've worked for all season long. And they're finally going to get an opportunity to see kind of where they stack up in the nation. You know, they spend all season, some of our teams that compete within a conference, they know how they stack up in their region, in their conference, or in their local area. But this will be the first time that, you know, our teams from Florida are going to get to see our teams from Alabama, are going to get to see our teams from New York and Pennsylvania and, you know, as far north as the state of Maine.
Yeah, Ian, from the IUP standpoint, this has to be really exciting. We've got a first-class facility here, and we get to show it off a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So as the director of conference services, any outside entity that wants to use our facility has to go through the conference services office. And BJ reached out to us a couple years ago and talked about what their facilities were like when they held this up in Massachusetts. And it was suggested by an IUP alum, hey, why don't you reach out to IUP and see if we can use their facilities? And so just working through that process, we were able to pick a couple weekends this year and next year. And yeah, we're looking forward to hosting the USCAA. The Alumni Association has reached out to track and field alum to come back and also be a concierge service. So we'll kind of trying to turn it into an event where IUP alum can come back and celebrate as well.
I think that's a really exciting aspect of the entire event, is the fact that you've got some men and women who have been standouts for IUP for their collegiate careers, and they've moved on into their life's work, but they get to come back and still be a part of it, you know, for anybody in any sport, but certainly for the track and field community. It's really big to be able to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really special. I mean, Ian has done a great job connecting us with the athletic department, and we worked with Eric McCabe, and from a facilities standpoint, you know, he's been pretty instrumental in making sure that we have the things that we need to make sure that everything runs smoothly this weekend. We've worked with Dr. Castle in his sports management classes, and we're going to have a bunch of students from his classes coming out and being staff for the event, and we're going to be speaking in their classes, you know, later here this morning. And making sure that they're all prepped and ready to go so that they can best support the event. And then, like Ian said, we've got some track and field alumni coming back. And I think anytime you can tie an institution's alumni into something bigger than just that event, it's going to help personalize it, not only for them to be able to come back and talk about, you know, their legacy with the program and how instrumental the program has been over the years, but to be able to kind of share that with the student athletes. And our student athletes, like Ian said, have these almost personal concierges who are familiar with the town, with the campus, with the facility, and can truly speak passionately about this area.
Yeah. Ian, of course, this is not the first time IUP has hosted a big track and field event. In fact, it's an annual thing, isn't it?
Well, this particular one will be annual this year and next year. But yeah, the track and field through the athletics department has hosted. They usually host about one a year. So the athletic department will be familiar with bringing people in, and
Yeah.
the grounds crew right now is getting everything ready. It's a little rainy right now, but hopefully the sun will dry everything up, and lines will be painted for the throwing events,
Mhm.
dry up the track, and we'll get everything ready to go.
George P. Miller Stadium, of course, will be the main competition site. Does it get outside of the stadium area itself? Are there events that take them off of the field there and onto other parts?
Yeah, the throwing events will happen on the practice fields that are behind Miller Stadium.
Mhm.
So that's going to be fun for them to kind of go back and forth, and then whenever the athletes are done with their events, they'll be able to walk around campus a little bit. Those concierge probably will suggest walking up to the Oak Grove and uptown a little bit, and so it'll bring in some definitely some people for coming up to have lunch and dinner those days.
I'm thinking for some of those alumni, they might need a map too. The way IUP looks now,
Yeah.
it's a whole different place than it was 10 or 15 years ago, even 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's very true too. Anytime an alum comes up and I say, "Hey, how's it going?" "Oh, it's been 20 years since I've been here, and the place looks
Mhm.
completely different."
Yeah.
As we all know.
When they do come back, what does it mean to them to be able to come back and to show off the university, but the program itself, and then to revisit some of the areas that they remembered?
I think it's just a lot of pride that they have and the sense of nostalgia coming back and remembering all those times that they had. So it's fun to see that.
Yeah.
They just get so happy whenever they're here.
Yeah, absolutely. BJ, we're talking about how many schools, how many athletes?
When I checked registration first thing this morning, we're right under 20 different institutions. We're probably going to look at a total number of participants between men and women, about 250 to 265 athletes.
Yeah, and when we think about that, some of them are real champions that are coming here.
Yeah, I mean we've got some standout institutions who are perennial contenders, and I'll say some names here. It's not going to mean a whole lot here locally, but Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences out of Albany, New York. They consistently put together a strong program. Same thing with SUNY ESF out of the Syracuse area of New York. But we've got a first-time institution this year who's coming up from the U.S. Sports Academy down in Alabama. And we're expecting some big things out of them based on the numbers that we've been seeing all year. So,
Yeah.
it's the 4x4 relay and our sprints, I think, always draw the big attention, right? That's the high impact excitement.
Mhm.
But I think we're going to see some really good throwers. We could see some PRs here this weekend, I hope.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about it is you bring those schools up here from the South, especially the deep South, that are used to the heat and humidity down there. Here they're running in cooler weather. How does that affect them? Does it make them faster? Does it make them more, give them more endurance? Or how does, winds, our Pennsylvania winds will help them as well or hurt them, depending on which direction they're running.
You're absolutely right. Those are things that we've talked about logistically. Which sand pits are we going to use? Which direction are we going to run? And some of those things you can't answer until the morning of, when you get a chance to get up there and look at the wind direction and see what's going to be most favorable for those student athletes. Obviously, if we're doing, running and jumping, we certainly want to put them in line with the wind. Now, obviously, as we're working our way around the track, maybe your front stretch is more friendly than your back stretch. So we'll just have to see what Friday and Saturday's weather brings for us. I do think you make an interesting point about the heat and humidity for some of our southern schools. You'd like to think that that's a benefit to them. But if you look at our schools that are coming out of the far northeast to get a little bit of warmer weather, it could be the same benefit. They're not running on cold legs and trying to stay warm in those, 40 or 50-degree temperatures. Hopefully we've got some temperatures here in the 70s this weekend.
Yeah, I'm interested as well in how the wind affects the javelin throwers.
Yeah,
for instance.
yeah. Well, and I know from our official standpoint, they take all those things into consideration from our timer standpoint as well. They've got implements and tools and things to accommodate for any, really weird directional winds, so that we make sure that that's as minimal impact as possible on event scoring.
Yeah, yeah. When we look at the impact of an event such as this, Ian, on IUP, but really on the entire regional economy, you bring that many athletes and their supporters, and obviously their staffs that come with them coming to Indiana. It's a big weekend economically for Indiana County.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the athletes are staying in a couple of hotels here locally and bringing in some spectators along with it, so that's going to help. It's kind of similar to some other events that go through conference services. This upcoming summer, we're going to have the New Testament Church group here. That's the international convention that brings about 3,000 Christians on campus. And if you've walked around the Oak Grove, in the middle of July, you've seen those folks walking around.
Yeah.
So, it's just another event that we're having along with that. So it's anytime that IUP gets selected to use a facility with an outside group, we just appreciate that and that they chose us to have their special event.
Yeah, it's a really big thing. It's a chance to show off the campus and really to have an impact on our entire region, and to have these really, really top athletes coming to Indiana and be able to see it. It's really going to be cool. Now, how do people? I assume it's a ticketed event, yes?
Correct.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, so people can go. It's one day. It's 2
It'll be
days.
Friday, starting at noon, correct?
Mhm.
Speed?
Yeah,
And,
we'll kick off at noon.
And then Saturday morning, what time do the gates open?
The gates will open, like Ian said, at noon on Friday, at 9 a.m. on Saturday. All of the ticket sales are going to be run through uscaachampionships.com. At the top of that page, there's a ticketing link. We're doing a weekend event pass for $15. We certainly don't want to nickel and dime anybody. We want to encourage the local community to come check out, see what the best small college athletes up and down the East Coast and across the country look like. Single day passes will be $10. One thing that we haven't had a chance to mention yet is we'll obviously have our own championship merchandise there on site, but then we've worked with Ian and his team to bring in some different food truck vendors. So we'll have a coffee truck, an ice cream truck, some other food trucks for both our participants and spectators alike.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
A lot of fun.
yeah.
People can come and these high school athletes from around here who are thinking about a college. Maybe
It's
that's
a great opportunity
yeah.
to see what small colleges are out there for you. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff happening this weekend at IUP. We're looking forward to it. Hey, thanks both for coming in to visit with
Thanks
us.
for having us.
Thanks for having us, Todd.
It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS.
So, you want to hear something new? George Tate here. Tate's Supermarket and Clymer has a new fresh meat case, and I mean new glass doors. No one in the area has them, but Tate's does. To keep those fresh meats we cut right there in front of you fresher.